So I have a question to you guys that does it matter, and how do we do, if it matters, to apply a limit statement inside a subquery? How do you apply the limit statement inside a subquery? Or is it possible? Will it be a syntax error, or what do you think is the relation between limit and a subquery?
Atul, I think at two places we can apply a limit statement. Either we can apply it for the first query or for the second query. We can also do it for both of them.
What do you mean by first query and the second query?
So in the subquery, for example, if we have two queries,
Okay.
so there's a query one and query two. Query two is inside query one,
So
and
means
query
query 2
two
is a subquery and query 1 is the main query, right?
exactly.
Okay, okay. Go ahead.
So if we want, we can limit the number of rows that query 2 is computing, or if we want, we can also limit the number of rows that are computed by the query 1.
Like, that is the question. Is it possible?
I think so. It should be possible. When we are writing a subquery, in the parenthesis for that, if we write a limit, that would work for the subquery. And if we want to write for the main query, if we write below the main query itself, limit statement, I think that should work for the
Yeah.
main query as well.
The second one will work. The limit statement after your main query will work. But let me show you a way that how can we write limit statements inside a subquery. Okay. Uh, so everybody can see this. This my PG admin is
Yes,
visible, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, Atul.
Okay. So let's set this aside for a second. Yeah. And suppose that I have a table whose name is temp temp table. Okay. Suppose I have a table. My columns are, say, A, B, and C. Okay. I have 3 columns. Now, my task is to use A and B in subquery with some condition and limit the number of rows. Then pass on these values returned to the main query and do something with C. Okay. Question is clear to you? We have 3 columns inside a temporary table. We will write a subquery where we will use A and B and do something, and whatever the result will be, we will limit the number of rows. Okay, number of rows to say 10, and then whatever these 10 rows that are the output, we will pass them to the main query and do something with C and these numbers. Okay, so let's write down the subquery. So my subquery will be select A comma B from uh, what table, temp table where A is greater than B. Okay. This is clear, right? Now let this be my subquery, and my superquery will be select C from this where my C will be greater than A. Okay. So this can be my main query from no, yeah, this, I think this will be here. Okay. Now suppose I want to limit these number of rows to 10. So somebody was suggesting that I write a limit 10 here, but this will give me an error. The reason being, like, actually there is no reason why it will give you an error, but the real basic syntax for this is when you have to select this entire sub result of the subquery again, You have to select everything from this subquery and then limit the results. You don't have to write your select statement just after the subquery. You have to select everything from this subquery and then write a limit to that. So this is the basic syntax if you want to do any such thing. Okay. Yeah. So this was one thing that I had in mind. So any other thing? Yeah. So did you guys cover the colleagues part yesterday, or was it left? Hello.
Yeah, the college part was there in the recording, so we covered it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, yeah. Okay. So there are two more important topics that I want to cover, and I'll cover it in tomorrow's lecture uh, before the assignment is discussed. But for today, let's move on to this primary and foreign keys and alter and update table. So let me see if I have let me fetch the PPTs before we begin. Just give me a second, guys. I'm opening the presentation and all. Okay. SQL fundamentals 3. So, okay, the first slide, advanced SQL commands. We will learn about timestamps, math functions, string functions, subquery, self join. In timestamps, learned how to what are different types of timestamps available and how to extract what type of what type of data that we want, be it year, month, day of the week, day, or quarter, things like that. Also, we can use age to calculate the current age given a timestamp, and to to convert data types. Okay. Then we learned about subquery and self joins, where subqueries allows you to construct complex queries. It can be considered as functions within functions as compared to like in Python or things like that. Then the next one was self join. It is a new type of join where we join the same table to the same table. Then we learned about different data types. That is Boolean, character, numeric, temporary, universally unique identifier, arrays, JSONs, key value pairs, and geometrical data or graph data. Um, Anybody has any doubts in the JSON format? Because we have to use that in today's assignment.
Could you just explain it again, just for recap?
Okay, the JSON format is we have a key, you have a value, and it's a sort of a dictionary thing. You have to you have to check the documentation of Postgres in order to extract the key value pairs or just the key or just the value from a JSON file. Okay. Reading JSON file is in Postgres is also in today's class. No, not reading JSON file and reading CSV files. While doing the assignment, we have to do that. Okay. Then Okay, this is, yeah, coming to the concept of primary key and foreign key. Okay. Okay, before that, let me open the DVD rental dataset. Okay. Yeah. So primary key is a column or a group of columns that are used to uniquely identify a row in a table. They allow us to easily discern what columns are to be used when joining tables. And a foreign key is a field or a group of fields in a table that uniquely identify a row in another table. It is defined in a table that refers to the primary key of another table. Okay. Now, the parent table is the one which has to the table to which the foreign key references, and the child table is a table that contains the foreign key. So, foreign key for a particular table can be the primary key to a different table. This is the basic overview. Any doubt in the definition or any such thing?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to PG admin. So suppose that I have an inventory table. Okay, in this I have columns of inventory ID, film ID, store ID, and last update. Let's check the constraints as well. So in this inventory primary key and inventory film ID, we have two different things. uh, how do I open it? uh, doesn't anybody remember how do we open it? I don't remember it right now.
You can just select start.
Yeah, that will display, but I want to like I remember I taught it last time by opening these things. mm, Not here.
By import or export, we can open.
No. You guys have watched the lecture yesterday, no? Do you remember?
I think it was you scrolled over dependencies or dependence kind of maybe dependence or dependence.
Mm,
Somewhere in the article also.
okay, got so okay, so primary key, yeah, to the inventory table, to film table, got it, thanks. Yeah. So in the primary in an inventory table, you have inventory ID, you have film ID, you have store ID, and an update. Now we remembered that we have when we are understanding joins, we joined the inventory table and we joined the film table to understand the left outer join, like right, that which movies are there in my film table but are not present in my store or in my inventory table. So we have joined inventory table and film table on the film ID column. Okay, do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So film ID is unique or like the primary key to this table. Okay, film ID is not repeated because there were 1,000 films in my film table. Every film had a unique ID. So the first rule, that primary key could not be repeated. Okay, it is a unique value for every row. So that condition is solved here because my film IDs were not repeated. Also, this film ID table column is there in my inventory table, which means that I can join my inventory table and film ID on the or film table on my film ID column. So this film ID, because it is not unique and there are many repetitions of this, can be said to be a foreign key from my film table to my inventory table. Get it?
Okay. So basically, uh, this film ID is derived from the film table by referencing,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can do that. Uh, in today's no, in today's class or in was there any uh, question in the assignment where we have to like take primary or reference keys? I don't think so. It is there in today's assignment. Is it there?
Yeah, like you created it like tables and you
No.
used.
In today's assignment, is there any question where we have to write about the primary key? I don't think there is a question right now. Uh, yeah. In today's assignment, there is no question we have to take primary key in reference key. But in tomorrow's assignment, you will be given today, you have to take care that you have to provide primary key for a certain column and foreign key for a certain column. It is mentioned where we have to do that. Okay. The next, okay, let's move back to this. Constraints. Did you have any doubt in constraints?
Could you just recap on the check?
This one?
Yeah, last
Yeah.
one.
Okay, so you have to always apply. So okay, I'll do all of them. Not null is to be given when you don't want a particular row value to be null. It can be used for cases such as timestamps. Unique for primary key and foreign key are self-explanatory constraints. And check can be used if you don't want a particular value to overcross to break a condition. For suppose you don't want my date of birth to be more than 2021 because it is not possible right now, right? So you
Yeah.
have to, you have to keep a check on the data that is being entered into the table. So for that, when the check comes in, you can apply a condition.
Got
Got it? Okay. The table queries. So we had create table where you can. So in create table, what you have to do is you have to uh, name a table, say Q1. Create table Q1. Then you have to find you have to devise all the column names that you want in your table, and for every column name you have to pass on the data type that you want to be entered into column, whether you and also the constraint if you want there to be any constraint. Insert table comes with two things: insert values. So insert into, say, table Q1, and for the values you have to just write in the format in which the columns are there, remembering the data types. Okay, so somebody had a doubt in update. Okay, so let's move on to updates. um, Tables SQL. Hmm. Okay, so do you want me to run the queries also, or just like show you from?
Yeah, it's your up to you.
Yeah, because like today's two questions we have to do, and I think it might take some time. Okay,
You
let's run the queries. So let's create a table account. Okay. This, I think this is clear to you. What are columns that we want, and what are the different
yeah, yeah, yeah.
variable
This is clear.
data type. Let's create a job table. Just create an account job table. Okay. Now let's insert some values into it. Done. Ah, okay, I think I've deleted something. Insert or update on table account wallets, foreign key, content account, foreign key. Okay, user ID 10 is not present, and okay, got it. So we have to reference it. So that's why it is giving an error. I think I kept it purposely there. Yeah. Okay. Now, my last login. So what it was my it was my timestamp. Last login was my timestamp. Okay, and I want my last login to be the current timestamp. So for that, we can use an update function. So in the accounts table, in my accounts table, I want my last login to be my current timestamp for every data that is there. So when I run this, yeah, you can see that current time. Yeah, it's 2025, right? It's 8:25. So you can get a current time. So for this way, you can change any value in a column to your desired value. Now I have a created on and I have a last login. So let me think that the user that came on the first day, left on the last day, the same date, he had also got created his ID, user ID. So wait, did I make a mistake? Update account, set last login to current. Yeah. So when you do this, you can see that these both values will be same because you have changed the value of a column using the update function. Okay. Similarly, you can update account job tables where you have hire date equal to created from account job. You have user ID like from the account job where my user ID equals to the user ID in both the tables, account jobs and account. So update function is used to change values inside a table. Got it?
So it's DML, right?
The
That
update
I'm
function.
going
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Update
Yeah.
was in DML. I We
Okay.
have given this question in the Kahoot as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Got
Okay. Uh, okay. And the alter table, it can be used to alter conditions for any table, any column, or the name of the columns. So as you can see, we can rename a column using the alter table, new info, and we can also change. Have I taken into an example? Yeah. So I have also changed the condition that the column people, the constraint should be dropped. So we can either drop a constraint or we can add a new constraint from using the alter command. Got it? Is this clear? So this is alter is a DDL command.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, any doubt in case? It is just like an if else statement.
No doubt.
Okay. Inside collects, I hope you all guys went through this. Uh, the example that I had taught here, uh, using collects. I think this was the example. Yeah. Yeah. Was this clear to you that why have we used collect statement with discount and zero here? Okay. Okay. Moving on. Yeah. So, okay, I want you to understand a bit more on views. So, tell me, what do you understand by views? Anybody who can unmute yourself and you can speak.
So we can define a block of query, and
Yeah.
in future, if we want to add something to it, or yeah, then we can add something to it without repeating what we have already written.
Exactly. So, okay. So one end of the side is a view, which is just your data which you have already used in a query. You can store it at a view. The second one on the on the other hand is a temporary table, which I don't think you guys have been taught. So a temporary table uh, can so view is what we can say. The main difference between a temporary table and a view is that temporary table stores a temporary database. The database is created from in temporary table and is stored, but a view does not create any database. Okay. So although views can be helpful, creating a temporary table instead of a view is more helpful because you can browse through your data set. Okay. So this is an advantage of using a temporary table over a view. In today's assignment, we will solve all the questions using a temporary table, not views, so that we can select anything that we want at any time. Now let's move on to today's assignment. Okay. So just give me a count of how many of you solved both the questions. Is there anybody who could solve both the questions? Okay. Is there anybody who could solve one question? Did you guys attempt the assignment?
Yeah, we attempt, but we couldn't get to the end of both. Like we
Okay.
are in the middle of stuck in between.
Okay. Did you guys? Did everybody downloaded the? Did everybody? Was everybody able to load the data set into a Postgres?
Atul, I was unable to load it actually.
Yeah, we will go through that. Okay. Anybody else
Hence,
who was?
I deleted that previous file, whatever I loaded in the name of test, and then I tried to upload by uh, changing the name of XLSX file to SQL or CSV file. I tried to upload it, but it was getting some error.
Yeah, I get it. So, okay, those who were able to just those who were not able to upload the Postgres file, do you have downloaded the file in a CSV format? Have you downloaded it or converted it?
Yeah, converted to CSV.
Okay. So after you have converted to CSV, okay, you must have noticed that there are multiple tables in this Excel sheet. So you need to convert each of them into individual CSV files. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay.
So,
Suppose, okay. So I have my question one here. So the question one is in CSV format. I have stored it in CSV format and there is only one table. Now, there are four different columns: ID, user ID, total, and created. It was given in the question that total is not necessary. Okay. Wait, let me just read the question once again. Given an order table with schema ID, user ID, total created, write an SQL query to create a retention plot. The format for the raw data and output are given. Refer to question 1, question order XLXS file. Week start date is the first week in which the user placed the order. Week 0 is the user IDs who placed their order in this week. Out of those user IDs, week 1 is the unique user IDs who placed order in the first week plus 1. The second week is first week plus 2, and so on till week 10. So according to the question, we have to create a retention plot. Okay. We have three columns: ID, user ID, and created on. And using these three, we want to find out what is the retention plot of users for a total of 10 weeks. Now, what do you guys understand by a retention plot?
So as far as I have understood, retention plot basically wants to calculate for how much time we could retain the customer. Like how much, what is the frequency of buying? Like does the customer buy each month and all that stuff? So we just want to know like if the customer is being regular in buying the stuff or not.
Exactly. So yeah, this is the point of a retention plot. So now we have to construct a weekly retention plot. So starting from 1st January, let us assume that the minimum date in this is 1st January. So let us start our construction of retention plot from 1st January on a weekly basis. So there are 52 weeks in a year. Given that, let's assume that this is the data from 1st January to 31st December 2017. Okay, so we have 53 weeks, 52 to 53 weeks in a year. After that, we want to find out what is the number of users who entered on week 0 or the first week, that is 1st January to 6th January, and stayed from 7th January to 13th January. Getting it? So the user who comes in on say first between 1st to 6th January has entered on week 1. If he again orders from a website from 7th to 13th January, which means that he has been retained for 1 week. If he again order from 14th January to 20th January, it means that he has been retained for 2 weeks. So this is how we have to create it for a 10-week basis for every user ID. Does everybody get what a retention plot is?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I have one more question. So suppose that are you guys all proficient in Python? With the basic Python, if else and for loop for statements. Basic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you have solved such a problem in Python? Can I won't be telling this. I want to know from you guys. How would you have done that? You have a user ID and you have the dates. So how, using these two columns, how would you have solved it using Python? Like I want to see like if you can form the logic behind it after understanding.
So, as far as I can think, Atul,
Yeah.
basically we would have first defined a function, and in this we would have taken ID and created data in that, and then we would have tried to use if and else statement to but we would first use a for loop to check for all IDs, and then we could use if and else to sort out which by weeks,
Like
or we
this
could
is
make a
not,
dictionary.
this is not any answer. To be honest, this is not an answer. uh, by the logic I mean that if you want to find out if a number is even, you have to say number divided percent 2 is equal to 0. Think of it in that way, like what is the step,
Okay.
not that we have to apply if else or we have to apply for. Think of it.
Atul,
Okay.
we can do one more thing. We
Yeah.
can take list of IDs
Okay.
in one list, and then we can divide that number of days by 7. We will get total weeks.
Okay.
Okay. Then we will use our loop for every ID, that
Okay.
whether this for say these period of time means 7 days of time, whether this ID appear or not. If appears, then giving count 1, then again count is equal to count plus 1 for another week, and
Yes.
that will fill.
Yeah, this is a correct approach. But let me refine it in a way. So you have your created column in which you have given dates. So first of all, we will remove the timestamp. Time, we don't want that. We only want a date. Okay. So what we will do after that, after we have got the dates, we will find out which week which date belongs to. So suppose this belongs to week 1, this belongs to week 2, this belongs to week 3, this again belongs to week 2, this belongs to week 4. Okay. So for every date, we will define or we will calculate which week of the calendar does the date belong to. Okay. So we will have a column like this where we will have week number. Got it? Is this clear?
Hey Atul,
Yeah.
is it possible to sort the columns and then resample it weekly?
Like there are many ways to do it. I'm just telling about the way that I thought. So you want to sort the columns and then you want to resample.
Weekly, on weekly basis?
What is resampling?
Like we will take only weeks instead of taking every date. We will first sort it. We will get the dates serial wise, and then we will
Okay.
resample it weekly basis, and then we will
Like the
get.
first 7 dates you write week 1, the next 7
Yeah,
dates.
yeah, yeah. Yes,
So,
yes.
so what if there are missing values? Like what if between say 7th to 14th January no customer has ordered anything, like no orders were placed? Then what will you do? Like it will
It
give you an
will.
error, right? Like on first week no customer was retained. Then from week 2 again people started coming. So think of it in a generalized way. It might not be that your entire everything is repeated and everything is constant. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah, yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So going back to the approach, we will find out what day, like what is the week associated with this date. So we will have 1 to 53 numbers written all over this column. Okay. Then for every user ID, we will find what is the minimum week number. So we will have another separate table here of two columns where I'll have my user ID and I'll have my minimum week number. So it will be user ID and then will be uh, minimum week number. Okay. So for every unique user ID that I have in this list, I'll have that many rows in this table and I'll have minimum week number for everyone. Now the next step what I'll do is, suppose for suppose a user 330 comes in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. This user id 330 week 1 to week 3, week 4. So what I'll do is I'll subtract my minimum week number from from all the week numbers. So I'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, which means that my user was in the week 0, user was in the week 3, user was in week 2, user on week 4. Suppose it came back in week 7, then I'll have minimum week number is 1, so I'll have 6 here. So you can see that there will be a gap of 3 weeks. So this means that user was retained for these 3 weeks, then there was a gap, and then it came back in 6th week. So in the 6th column we will again add that user. Is this step clear?
Repeat one more time. Last
Okay.
two
Oh
column,
yeah.
last
Okay.
two row.
Okay. Suppose that user 330 has ordered from our store in first week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 7. Okay. The minimum week is 1, which I have here for 330. What I'll do is I'll subtract my minimum week from all these weeks. So I'll get 0, 1, 2, 3, and 6, which means that I have my user was retained for first, second, third, and sixth week. So when I make a table of 10 weeks, I can add my user 330 to week 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now is it clear? Okay.
Here, but here is a gap now. After fourth week, he is going for
Yeah.
seventh
So the user was not retained in week 5 and 6.
five,
The
yeah,
user was retained in week 7.
3 and 6. Okay, got it, got it.
It is not necessary that user will be retained in consecutive weeks. It is also possible that user can came back after some time. Okay. So we user was retained in these weeks, so I can add this user in in those columns where I have these numbers. Similarly, for every user I'll do this. So for every user I'll have the weeks where he is retained, and to the column which has to be added. So all I have to do is like sum this entire thing in a for loop. It will give me the results.
What does the zero mean?
0 means week 0. In the question it is given that week 0 is a unique ID who placed their first order in this week. So that's why, keeping that convention, I have taken a week 0. Okay. Hello, is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's move on to Postgres and see how we will do this. So the first error that you guys must be facing is while reading the uh, CSV file. So what I'll do is uh, just a second. Okay. So what are the columns that we have in our Excel sheet? We have ID, user ID, total, and created. So we will create a template. We'll create a table Q1 with the same columns and same data types, and then we will dump our CSV into this table. So let's create a table Q1. Okay. And using this query, copy Q1 from this data set, this path with CSV header. You can uh, get all the CSV files in this table. But now you see that there is an error. It says that the date time field value is out of range. What? So let's understand the reason behind it. Show date style. Think. Yeah. Yeah. So see, The date format right now in this PG admin is months, dates, and years. But in my yeah, in my created data set, we can see that the date format is somewhat different. You have month here. One second. Oh, okay. The date style I have already set it to German, so that's why it is showing month date here. But yeah, month date here, and it is something different here.
It is date month year.
No, no, no. It's month date here in mine.
No, no, in the Excel file.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So month date here in my PG admin and month date here in my Excel sheet. Both are same.
No, it is the date month year, I guess.
Yeah, actually it's date.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Yeah, it's date. I got confused. Yeah, it's date month here. That's why we are getting an error. So what we need to do is we have to change this date style. So what I'll do is I'll set my date style to German format. If you Google it, you'll find that this is what suits our uh, yeah. This is what like the format that we want it to be. Okay. Now when I try to load my CSV, it will be loaded because I have changed my date style, and you can see the CSV output here from Q1.
Can't we just set a date style to custom date style?
You can, I think I have taught it in the 2char format, in like the timestamp format. You can devise a timestamp of your own, and then you can set it. Now,
So we were just importing that file.
yes,
Can you show how to do it by importing?
by
I was
importing,
seeing an error.
as in,
Going to table column and clicking right on it, and there was a option import it table column.
okay, I have never tried it though.
Right click on this on table column, not this query. Yeah, on table column.
Yeah,
Uh,
where is it?
we have to create another database in the repeat.
I think if you want to try it, you can online search for the error online. But this is one way, and I think you can also do it in this way. Like the main agenda is to solve the question and like not focus on this part. If you want, you can do that. Not an issue.
I was importing, but that was giving me an error.
Yeah, I have never tried it personally, importing the table, so I don't have knowledge regarding that. Like, what's the error? But no
Okay.
problem. You can text me on Slack, and we can discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we have selected everything from Q1. You have your ID, you have your user ID, total, and created. Okay. Now let's get the week numbers from our data set. Okay. So let's move on to here. Okay. Now I want to guys to have a look at this query. Yeah. Select user ID, minimum date from minimum week from the created column. Date part can be used to extract week from the date from the column from a column, and I want to give an alias of first week. So when I select this entire thing, you'll uh, you have to group by, because okay, so actually we are using an aggregate function, and the columns are not same. The user ID column is not same as the minimum date column, so that's why we are getting an error. We have discussed it in the class as well. So I have to group it by user ID to maintain the number of columns. So when you can see, okay, let's order it by as well. Let's order by user ID as well. So you can see that user ID 4 made its first login on the fifth week. User ID 5 made the first login on 15th week. User ID 6 made the first login on 13th week, and you can see so on. We have n number of users here who made their first week appearances. Now I want to store this entire thing, store this entire result in a temporary table, which will and the name of my temporary table will be WO, which shows week 0. Okay, so this is a syntax. You just have to write create temporary table, name of the table, and as an alias, you have to dump all the data that you want it to be inside this table. So after you create this table, you can see select everything from WO. You see, I have the same results. Okay. Now that I have got the minimum week for every user, let me try to find out all the weeks that a user was present or the user logged in. So for that, I'm creating another temporary table. It will I'll give it the name all weeks. Now I want to now the minimum part is over. I want all the weeks that were there. Okay. So for that, I'll again select my user ID, my week, and the login week, and then I'll group by user ID and login week, and you can see that I'll get from all weeks in this table. You can see that. Let me order by user ID. Yeah, so you can see that. Okay, let me order it by login week as well. Yeah, so you can see user ID 4 made logins on 5th, 19th, 34th, and 48th week. User ID 5 made its logins on 15th, 16th, 20th, and 13th. Okay, 15th, 16th, and 20th week. And similarly, for every user ID, we have all the weeks in which he has made a login. Now, what I have to do is I have to subtract my login week uh, in table all weeks from the first week column in my table W. So what I can do is I can do an inner join, or I can do a join on both these tables on the column user ID. Is somebody facing an error? Syntax error at near user ID. There should be an underscore between that. But there should be an underscore there.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, got it. Let me check. Hi Atul, can you copy paste this code here in chat box?
This file will be given to you now at the end of the class.
Okay, then no problem.
Okay, so okay, where was I? Yeah, so what I have two tables now. I have my table select WO, in which I have the first weeks and the number of rows we can count, like how many different users we have. So we have total 11,084 users, 984 users. Okay, different users. And then we have a table all weeks where we have all the login weeks for a particular user, and you can see that we have okay we have uh, yeah, we have 29,135 total number of rows here. Okay, so what we can do is we can use a join on both these tables and join on the column user ID, and then what we can do is we can subtract my login week from my first week in this table to get the difference. So what we will do is again we will I'll just paste this query and then I'll explain it to you. Yeah, so I'm doing a join, inner join on table all on table my W0 and all weeks. And okay, we have one more doubt in the chat. Uh, Savish, what is the problem that you are facing?
Same problem. Whatever I written, error syntax error.
I told you, no, write an underscore between user ID.
Between user ID is here. Create table.
User and ID are two different uh, words here, no? Then what is the meaning of that?
Okay. Got it.
Like, please pay attention to the class, otherwise you won't understand, and then you will ask
Okay.
doubts.
Okay.
Uh, you'll get this anyway at the end of the class, so don't no need to do that. Yeah. So coming to my query here, so I have to inner join my W0 table containing my user ID and my first week to my all weeks table containing my user ID and my login weeks. Okay. Now I can join it on the user ID column. Now, for simplicity, that I don't have to write W0 and all weeks all the time, I'll make an alias B for W0 and an alias A for all weeks. And for when you make alias for tables, you don't have to write an as. You can just write A or B just beside the table, and it will take it as an alias. So all weeks is my A, W0 is my B. So I have to inner join it on a user ID. And suppose I want to select my user ID, my login week, my first week, and my difference in login weeks and the first week as the columns that I want to be returned. Okay. User ID, I have to select it from the A table because it is not unique to this table. It is common to both. So I have to write A.user ID. Login week is unique to my this all weeks table. So it does not matter if I write login week or not, A.login week or not. But for the like for your understanding, I've written it A.login week. Again, first week is unique to my B table, so it does not matter if I write it or not. And then this difference, and this difference I'll make it an alias as week number. Okay. And I'll join everything on the user ID basis, and I will show the entire result in a temporary table week difference. So when I return my uh, table here, you can see that user ID. Okay, I'll order it by my login week. User ID and login week. Yeah. So you can see user ID 1 has logged in on 15, 19, 34, and 48. The first week is 15th, is 5th. So when I subtract these two, I'll have 0, 14, 29, 43. So which means that user ID number 4 was retained on 14th, 29th, and 43rd week after joining. Sorry, on 14th, 29th, 30, 43, 3rd week. Yeah. Do you get it?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
So we have subtracted 5 from 48. So
Yeah.
since the last time he took buyed something was in 48th week,
Mhm.
so shouldn't it be 47th? We retained it in 47th week.
No, the reason to it is suppose that this okay, what will be the 5th week? It will be the first week of February.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the 48th week? It will be your I think last week of December, last week of November.
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy first bought anything in your first week of February,
February.
and last bought anything on last week of November. So this guy uh, was retained after 43 weeks of enrolling in the program, or like by first time buying it. So this 43 is relative, is not
Okay.
sorry, this 43 is absolute value starting from your
From the
week
week
zero,
number.
week
Okay, okay.
zero for that user. Okay. So this user was retained after 43 weeks. So this means that the user who came in on first week was retained after 43 weeks. Who came in on fifth week was retained after 43 weeks, which means that both of these users were retained 43 weeks after they have first used some our product or login, something like that.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So
So yeah,
I
for
was
both
just
of
thinking.
them, just a second. So for both these users, so first user came on first week and again came on 43rd week. A second user comes on fifth week and comes on 48th week. So for both users, the retention amount is the same, that is 43 weeks, and both of them will fall under the same category. Okay. Yeah. Now please ask it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so Atul,
Yeah. Yeah.
so for the user ID 4,
Hmm.
his fifth week, the fifth week is his 0th week,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. And
Similarly,
likewise for everyone, right?
yeah, for user 5, 15th is a 0 week. For user
Yes.
ID 6, 13th is a 0 week. So this retention is relative now, because it does not matter that whoever is joining when. What matters is the amount of time they're spending on the platform. So it is a relative thing. So that's why we need to take the difference. Okay, moving on. Any doubts up till here in this part? Up till here, any doubts?
I was just confused because I was thinking we were calculating from business perspective, but we are calculating from customer perspective. So his first week, we will check, and from that point we will start counting uh,
It
the
is
weeks.
don't you think it is same from business perspective as well? It does not matter na, that whenever you enrolled in the AlmaBetter program, you will be completing your course 8 months after you're joining.
Yeah, for AlmaBetter, it is batch number 3. For survey, for Saubhagya, it is his first, right?
Yeah.
Likewise.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is the
you can.
thing. From business perspective, it is different. I was thinking from like from business perspective, but we are calculating from customer point of view. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, except this, any doubts right now? Like everybody is clear now why we are doing this week difference and calculating the login week or the first week, and how we are doing it. It's clear, right? Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. Now, you remember the case statements that you have learned yesterday, by in the lecture that I was given. Case statements are nothing but if else statements, where you have to apply a condition for of if, and if that condition is not fulfilled, then apply an else condition. And okay, so similarly, for example, if my week number is 0, then I want the value to be 1, and else the value to be 0. If my week number is now 1, I want the value to be 1, else I want the value to be 0. So every time a case statement is run, it will be run for the entire table, again for the entire table, again for the entire table, again for the entire table. Okay. Now let's understand each and every case statement in detail. Now this, I have this table where I have my user IDs, I have my login week, I have my first week, and my week number. Week number denotes the difference between first week and my login week. Okay. So at the end of the day, I want a table in which my columns, I'll have 11 columns. The first column will be my say, I want the first column to be, let me run this and I'll give you an example. Yeah, I want it to be the first week. Okay. The second column, I want it to be week 0, week 1, then week 2. Moving on, we have different up to week 10. I'll have these many columns, 11 columns. The first week, week 0, week 1, week 2, week 3. So uh, the first week here is my first week of January. So these are the users who came between 1st January and 6th January. Out of these 755 users, there were 207 users who came between 6th and 13th, 14th, 13th January, 7th and 13th January. Then then again on this After my between my 14th and 20th January, 193 users came. Okay, so users who logged in first week. That's why you see we have a decreasing trend. Out of the 75, we have 183 customers who came on the day week 4. So you might wonder why is an increasing trend between 179 to 183. It's just because we are taking the initial as 755. Had I taken my initial after this thing as 179 and calculated, I'll have gotten a lesser number. Is this clear that why are we experiencing an increase here and not a constant decrease?
Not so clear.
Not so clear.
Okay. Always I am keeping my initial value of customers as 755. I am not counting for customers who have repeatedly been coming. So it may be that user 1, 2, and 3 are part of 755, but only user 1 is a part of 179. Only user 1 came in week 3, but user 2 and 3 also came in week 4. So it means that we are not taking initial value as the week just before that, the week we want. We are taking initial value as week 0. Is this clear?
So since customers aren't coming, in each week, so we aren't counting like cumulative. So that is why
Yeah.
if one customer skips week 3, but then more customers from week 0 come on week 4,
We'll count that. Yeah, we will count that.
Okay, that is why.
Okay, got it, everybody? That why do we see an increasing trend here?
Could you just explain the function that we used? Just a
Which
little.
function? I'll
Above.
explain this. I was just giving you an overview. So finally, we'll have this table where we'll have first weeks up to 53, 52, I think. 52 weeks are there. Okay. In week 0, we have first week, 1st January to 6th January, 755 customers came. Then 646 new customers came between 7th January to 14th January, 13th January. 584 new customers came between 14th January to 20th January. Is this clear? That these customers are new customers and don't have any relationship with earlier customers. Because as you have seen, the login dates for every customer was different. So these customers are new customers. These customers are those customers who logged in the last week of January. These customers are those customers who logged in only in the first week of January. And after that, we can see the retention. These customers are those who logged in the first week of January, and after these, we can see the retention. Okay. So this table comprises from 1st of January to 10 weeks after 1st of January. This row comprises of 3rd week of January up till 10 weeks after 3rd week of January. This week comprises starting from 10th, the 10th week of the year to 10 plus 10 or 20th week of the year. Any doubts in what I just explained? You can speak up if you have any doubt.
So Atul, the first week column represents the week of the year.
Yes.
And the week 0, week 1, week 2 column are the columns where the customers are there, right?
Yes.
Coming customers.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Good. Okay. Anybody else with any doubts? Okay. Now let's move on to the statement where we'll learn how can we get it.
Yeah, Atul, I have one more doubt. As you said that for the week 2, 646 were the new customers.
Yes.
And the week 1, there is a after 2 weeks. Means it's a week 1 is a 3rd week for 125.
Week 1.
Sorry. It's after 2 weeks, no? The week 1 is.
This one, yeah, after 2 weeks. So this one is 1st to 6th January, 7th to 13th January. This is my 14th to 20th January. Yes.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's move on to this statement. So what we have earlier, using the week difference table that we have created, we have user IDs, login week, first week, and week number. Week number is a subtraction from here to here. Now, all those users who first logged in will have the week number to be 0. Getting it? That user ID 4, when week number is 0, that is his first week. For user ID 5, when week number is 0, that is his first week. For user ID 11, when it is 0, it is his first week. So I'll choose a week number for and any value, and then I'll put it as 1. If my week number is 0, I'll put it as 1. So I'll have all those, the sum of every like total number of sum of all ones who logged in the first week number 0. Okay. Similarly, for week number, if the week difference is 1, it will show me that how many users were present in week 1 also, like how many users are there with a week difference of 1. And then I'll group by everything by first week. Getting it? So in my table I have first week, right? So I'll group by my first week. So this will give me okay, I have not ordered it by. So this will give me a result with column of first week. We have grouped everything. We have your the sums here, sum of people 1 who are 1, some the week number was 0, then 1. So sum of week number was 0 for 755 people who logged in first week. Week number was 0 for 646 people who logged in second week. Week number was 9 for say 95 people who logged in first week. So that's how we'll generate the retention plot. Any doubts before we move on to the next question?
Could you just explain the use of then, else, and in this?
Yeah.
Like
So okay. So case when week number is 0, I'll have say 10 columns, 10 rows where my week number is 0. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I want to count these numbers, right? So instead of returning those 10 different rows, I'll return one value, one number for each row. So I'll have 1 in 10 different rows, and then I'll sum the entire column to get the total numbers. If the week number is not 0, then the value in that place will be 0. So it won't affect my sum. That's why we are doing this.
Basically, we are replacing all the week numbers by 1, and then
Yeah,
adding
the entire row,
each.
entire column. Yeah. So I think I explained it in my lecture recording that you have seen.
I just
Yeah, you can check it again, no problem. So that's how we will generate the entire retention plot. Any doubts before we move on to the next question? Okay, I guess we can proceed. So this one is solved. Let's delete it. Question 2. So let's read question 2 first. Do you guys mind if I take a 5 minutes break?
Sure, sure.
Okay, I'll just get whatever and come. Hi. So let's start with question number 2. So the question 2 is that you are given two tables: order timeline and order shipment. In order timeline, you have your schema ID, order ID, message, and created. And inside the order shipment, you have your schema ID, order ID, actual dispatch date, and created. You have to write an SQL query to find out the percent of order shipped before first message date. A percent of orders shipped on first message date plus one, or 1 day after the first message date. Percent orders shipped on the first message date plus two, or number of orders that were shipped on the date plus two of the first, like 2 days after the first message, and percent of orders that were shipped on the day of the actual date of the order. Okay. Now, order timeline contains the message for expected dispatch date, and order shipment gives you the real dispatch date. So again, the same question: if you were given this, how would you have solved it in Python? Like, what logic would you have used? You please go ahead. Uh, Unmute yourselves and like speak. Okay, just a second, just a second. I'll show you the tables so that you can be more, like you can answer effectively. Yeah. So you have one table in which, yeah, you have one table in which you have a message date, which means that order ID or the ID 14 will be dispatched on 2017 331. It is the expected date. And you have another table in which it is given for for order ID what is the actual date. So how will you solve this question in Python? It is like easy, right, compared to the first question that we did.
What do they need to do?
Hello.
Yeah, what do they need to do? What's the question?
Did you go to the assignment?
No.
Okay. So you want to find out percent of orders shipped before the first message date, percent of orders shipped on the date of like 1 day after the first message date, orders shipped 2 days after the first message date, and orders shipped on the date of the first message. So all you have to do is subtract the actual date from the expected date for every order ID, and then see the conditions where it fulfills. That actual dispatch date minus the original date is equals to 2, actual dispatch date minus original date equals to 1. For those user IDs, you have to just make a percentage. Okay, so this is how you do it in Python. So let's jump to PG admin.
Can you explain this again, the logic thing?
Okay.
So if it is in minus, then okay, and if it is a plus, then we can say it is post segment. Then we can calculate percentage.
Yeah.
Is this right?
Yeah. So what we have to do is we have two columns. We have three columns. Okay, let's consider everything in one table. We have three columns. The first column is the order ID. Say we have 1 to 100, order ID 1 to 100. The second column is my expected date of dispatch. That is which expected, what is self-explanatory. For every ID, I have a date on which it is supposed to be dispatched. And the third column, we have the actual dispatch date. Like for every ID, instead of after the expected date, we have a column where the actual dispatch date is given. Okay, it may be that both expected and actual are same. It may be expected is less than actual, it may be expected is more than actual. Okay, so all we have to do is find those user IDs where my difference in actual and expected is 2, is greater than 2, is greater than 1, is equals to expected date. Okay, so this is all you have to do, and then you have to find a percentage, or you have to divide it by the total number of orders. Got it?
Yes.
Moving ahead. So again, I'll again I have to change my date style to German, but since it is already changed, I don't need to do it again. So yeah, so let's create a table OT, which is my orders timeline. It has these features or ID, order ID, message, and created. I'll create this table, and again I'll copy my data. Similarly, I'll create a OS table, or you can see the OT table here, which is my ID, order ID, message, and created. Now the message can be a bit tricky because it is in a JSON format. We will try to see how we will extract the date from this JSON file, JSON format. Next, we will create an OS table. We will populate this data with the order shipment, and you can see the date here. Now, in this actual dispatch date, we have date with timestamp. So we will remove the timestamp and then we will solve the entire question again. Okay. Now, after both these tables are loaded, what we can do is, yeah, I'll show you this thing. Yeah. Now, do you remember that in my OT table, my message was in a JSON format? So I need to extract my message from here. Okay. My date from this JSON file or this dictionary. So for that, all I have to do is I have to use these signs, hashtag greater than. This helps me to find the value from a key. Okay, so if the dispatch date is my key, so I want the value from this key, and I want to alias this value date. Okay, and then I want to cast this message. Sorry, I got extracted this date here. It will be extracted in string format. Then I want to cast the string into a date time format as date. So using cast, I'll cast him as date, and I'll select the entire thing as message date. So you'll see that I've got all the message dates in date time format using a cast and my this operator to extract value from my JSON. Now, similarly, all I have to do is extract my actual date also. But actual date was just you can see the actual date. It is with a timestamp. So I just want a date here, and I'll use it as an actual dispatch date. You can see that I've got a date extracted. You can see that I have also null values in my actual dispatch date, which means that there are order IDs that have not been dispatched yet. So we have to take that into consideration while solving our problem. Because if we have an operation on null, we will get an error. So that's why we have to take into account all those values that are null. Okay. Everything clear up till this point? That whatever we have done, everything clear? Or any doubts? Okay, moving ahead. Yeah. So I have to use this statement to get my dispatch date in datetime format as message date, and I have to use this statement to get my date time of actual date as actual date in this format. So again, so similarly, I'll use this. Now, both these tables, OS and OT, have a column called order ID. Okay. So what I'll do is I have to just join both these tables on the order ID, and I'll give a condition that where my actual dispatch date is not null, because you have seen that dates are null here. So when we do it, when we proceed to further computing, it will give us an error sometimes whenever we are solving this. So I'm beforehand removing this entire all those rows where my actual dispatch date is null, and I'm not joining it, and I'm storing the entire thing as a temporary table. I'm storing order ID, my message date, which is my expected date, my actual date here from my OT table. I am inner joining on my OS table, and the columns I'm joining as order ID, and I'm storing this table as message date. So don't bother, because both these variables are same. So it will not create a problem, although these both are same. So when I do this, I run my uh, run my query to find the return table, you can see that this is my order ID. Let me sort it by order ID. Order by order ID. Yeah. So you can see that my for order ID 1514, my message date is like expected date is this, while my actual dispatch date is this. So this product has been dispatched beforehand. For this product has also been dispatched beforehand. This product has been dispatched beforehand. Similarly, this product has been dispatched beforehand. I think every product has been no. I think yeah. Maybe let's see after this what is required by the question here. Now, what we have to do is we have to find all those orders shipped before the first message date. All those orders who were shipped 1 day after the first message date, 2 days after the first message date, and any time after first message date. Okay. So moving to my query here, question 2. Again, I'll use a case statement to do that. So let us understand case one by one. So I have my table message date here. Okay. Everybody clear now? Like what this table is and how we have created it. Any doubts up till this table? Okay. Moving ahead. So I'll use this message date table. I'll find a difference in these two columns, and using the condition that is required in my question, I'll get the percentage output. So selecting everything from message date, select, this is my subquery. This is my subquery. This is my original main query. This is a subquery. Let's move on to the first case statement. So when my message date is greater than equals to my actual dispatch date, then I'll place it as 1 because it is my first condition. The first condition is shipped before the first message date. Okay. So message date is greater than actual date because it is shipped before, right? So then this condition suits here. Again, I'll put it as 1 and I'll make a sum. I'll sum entirely so that I can get these values. Then I'll divide by count of the entire table because I have to find a percentage. I'll multiply by 100 and divide by count. Similarly, for the next condition, OTIF2, I want my message date plus 1 equals to actual dispatch date. Then my message date plus 2 equals to actual dispatch date. And message date plus 2 is less than actual dispatch date. So like this, I can write all my conditions and then I'll pass this subquery inside the main query to get my final results. Yes, sorry. Yeah. So you can see that
I think you are multiplying by 100 and then counting.
sorry. Yeah, I'm multiplying by 100 and dividing it by count. Like this is how you calculate the percentage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for OTIF1, my percentage is 95. For OTIF2, it is 1.99. For OTIF3, it's 1.15. And for OTIF4, it is 1.85. I think, yeah. Orders, OTIF1 is orders shipped before first message date. And similarly. So this is how we can solve this question. It is just a matter of taking difference in two columns. Like we have to join two tables, take difference in two columns, and then we can apply all the condition that we want. Any doubts in this question? Rest, I think we are done for today.
So, Atul, I just had a generalized doubt, not regarding the question.
Okay.
Like, is it necessary to do all these conditions in SQL, or we could just extract our data using query from SQL and then do all the operations in Python?
Yes, you can do that. Actually, you can do that. So there is a library called PySQLite. What it helps you is getting the data from an SQL server into your Python notebook and convert, and then you can convert it into CSV and do all those stuff. There's no issue in that.
Like, I mean, see, here you have created temporary tables, right?
Yeah.
So creating these tables and then extract those tables in Python and then do operations there using pandas.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
But you should not do that because it will take too much time. SQL is more faster than your pandas.
Hi, Atul.
Hi.
We
Yeah.
are uploading SQL file also.
Yeah.
If we doesn't upload SQL file, then it will not affect anything, I think.
Sorry.
We upload tar file, then we used to upload SQL file. I think SQL file is not necessary. We can directly upload our tar file, then we can directly write our command. It will work.
What is that R file?
In previous lecture,
Yeah, the DVD.
we were uploading that tar file, then
Yeah,
uploading SQL file.
Where are you uploading your SQL file?
From these toolbars.
Yeah, because I have already saved this SQL file. Na? All if I want to write any new SQL file, I can write that.
Yeah. Okay.
I have written every, like, why will I want to write every command again? I have it saved.
Okay. That's confusion.
Okay. Any other doubt?
Atul, I'm just getting some doubts while uploading the CSV file. I'm not sure. Earlier I wasn't getting. Now I'm getting. So
The error?
let me just share it in the Slack. Like
Okay,
in this in
yeah.
here only. Sorry.
Yeah, because I think you have the path wrong. I think the path is wrong.
So I actually just copied the path from the file explorer and just pasted it. So should I?
I think the error is no such file or directory. It is yes regarding to your path.
I'll recheck.
Yeah.
Yes,
Any
so
other
much to change
doubts?
your slashes, you are using a backslash, I guess. You have to use forward slash.
Any other doubt?
Yeah, I'll try with backslash.
Hi Atul, I faced one more problem.
Yeah.
Actually, here after every query, you are not using any semicolon, but
Yes.
I have to use the semicolon after every query. Otherwise, that was giving me an error.
So it might be that you have updated your Postgres.
Yeah, that was
version.
13.
So yeah, I also have 13. I don't know. It is not necessary to use.
But I have to use because if I am not using, then I am getting error. I
Okay,
have to use after every line. Means after writing every query, I have to write semicolon.
then use it. Like, what is the problem?
Okay.
So actually, in different versions of your this relational database, you have to use different things. For example, in MySQL, you have to always use an semicolon. In Azure Data Studio, also you have to use a semicolon. In Postgres, it is optional. It depends from different different software to different software. It might be that the thing that I'm doing here in Postgres, where I'm making an alias, uh, yeah, it might be that in Azure Data Studio it will give you an error. So you have to like change your code, modify your code according to your version. But if the logic is clear, then everything will work fine. Okay, guys, I think we can end today's lecture.